welcome to Chapter 6 of Engage and Grow. Unify, connecting the employees, connecting people. You know, if you want to build and maintain leaders, you've got to connect human beings with each other. And if we look at it, to unite or to bring people together is what we're looking at with Unify. And Mark, you've done a great range of study on this sort of stuff, and your 3 Ps are something that I think everyone should really understand about how we unify and create quickly engaged employees, I guess.
Well, thank you for that, because I was actually surprised at it myself. We were really trying to find a common definition for success among people who had been successful for at least 20 years or more. Mm-hmm. In other words, not one-hit wonders, but people who had been high achievers. These are the folks who'd get invited to speak at a conference. They're Nobel laureates. We actually went to talk with sitting heads of state and people who had spiritual influence. We talked to self-made billionaires. It was like Napoleon Hill. We did 1,000 people in this study, from the Dalai Lama to Nelson Mandela. It was remarkable to be able to talk to these people and ask them, what's your definition of success? And we found that people don't have one definition of success. We found actually 36 different elements of success.
Wow.
But the most powerful, those that we saw among the highest performers for 20 years or more, really focused in 3 areas. And these 3 areas are tossed around a lot, but they aren't really the same thing. They're individual. The first is purpose, that people want to be, we hear this a lot, you want to be a part of something greater than yourself. You'd like to be connected to something that really is meaningful to you, that is not just about you, and might even be your legacy. Something where you
it's
have
hard
impact,
to unify
right?
a team if they don't have somewhere to go, a purpose
Exactly.
to work to together.
Right, could we go this way? And then, and, you know, that's a way you could deselect, you know. You want to go that way? Bless you. It's not a judgment. Let's choose to go in a common direction. And in fact, we found that when you coalesced what was the definition and the secret to success that was built to last, it was to create a life that mattered to you. Not to others, but mattered to you intrinsically. So that's what we're talking about when we say purpose. It's something you dig, for sure, but it isn't about you. It's something you'd like to be associated with for the long term. The second P has to do with performance. So a lot of people forget that people who are high achievers are pretty competitive. They love to win. They love to actually have impact.
I don't think there's anyone on this panel that's like that, is there?
I don't know. Have we ever experienced that? Either the good artifacts or the bad news from winning? Hey, you know, as Marshall always says appropriately, most of these people want to win at everything. And what we really want to do is be winning at the purpose and putting points on the board for that. So performance is clear. It's not that it's less important than purpose, but you could be involved in a lot of purposes. This is a purpose that you want to be engaged in because you can actually have impact, that you can perform.
Very important.
And then the third area is passion. Now, people talk about that sometimes interchangeably with purpose. I don't think it is. What we found passion meant is that you would actually go ahead with this even when you don't necessarily always feel supported.
Right.
Now, I think we'd all love to feel supported. But what's remarkable about the highest achievers is that they will do it anyway because it intrinsically feeds them. That we believe that most motivation is this intrinsic motivation. I love doing this. It matters to me. Because think about it, high achievers, they could do any purpose, they could win at a lot of stuff, and they have many passions. But if you can put all 3 together and rally a team around that, you are absolutely unstoppable. They dig the same vision, they want to win this way, and individually as those subject matter experts, because once again, we don't know everything, we know a lot about one thing. As a team, we love doing our work. Great. And it really benefits everybody.
Yeah. Rich, let's just look at that common vision thing, because I think this is a really important part of unification. You know, a common goal isn't just that everybody knows it, it's that everyone wins by this, and you come back to purpose and passion and things. Tell us more about how leaders need to look at that and how they need to position that to get real unification.
Well, first they need to walk their talk. I mean, most importantly, you can quickly lose a leader. I mean, leadership's 24/7. And leadership isn't a right, it's a responsibility. So as soon as the leader, I mean, the leader is a reflection of the whole group. So as soon as the leader loses face, is not vulnerable, not humble, selfish, I mean, it's all over Red Rover. There's a lot of rebuilding to do. And so if you've got a team of leaders that really are aligned to humility and just mutual respect, it goes a long way to creating a high-performance team, as Mark was alluding to.
Marshall, when it comes to team, there's certain things that have to happen to make that a reality.
Well, I've got a process that I love, and Mark has used it as well, called team building without time wasting.
Right.
I'll share it with the group, and since it's about time wasting, it's fast.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing is you sit down and ask the team 2 questions. Question 1, on a 1 to 10 scale, how well are we doing? Then question 2, how well do we need to be doing? The average team is we are at 5.8. We wish we were an 8.7. That's 1,000 teams from around the world, and most of us, we don't feel our teams are unified to the degree they should be.
Yeah.
Then the next thing is you get with the group and say, okay, we are at 5.8, we want to get to an 8.7, how do we get there? Everybody write down 2 behaviors. If we all get better at that, it's going to improve the quality of teamwork. Then you do a little consensus building. You come up with one thing for the whole team to work on. Then each person asks each other person a question. We're at 5.8, we want to get to an 8.7. Everybody's working on listening. Other than listening, give me 2 ideas. Now this is called feed forward. No feedback about the past,
So
only
give
ideas.
me 2 ideas for me personally.
That's it.
Right.
And
Don't
you-
shame them, don't blame them, but what could I do in the future?
And by the way, no matter what they say, you say thank you. You make a list, you pick one for yourself. Now, we have a simple 3-item follow-up process. Item 1, I'd say, Brad, you're my team member. It's been a month. Based on last month, we're all going to work on being a better listener. Give me one idea to be a great listener. Brad, number 2, I'm working on recognition. Give me one idea to do a great job of recognition based on last month for next month. And number 3, I just want to be a great team player. Give me one idea. Follow-up, 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 measurement, follow-up, 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 measurement. And the results are amazing. And I've done this with so many teams. Mark, you've had experience with it.
What Marshall's talking about is genius. I was last time trying to apply this insightful approach that Marshall's talking about, and they told me, that doesn't sound like it makes any sense at all. I mean, we all know what we feel about each other. We all know how this team works together. What the heck are you wanting to do? I said, just trust me, write it down on a piece of paper and score it on a scale of 1 to 10, whether we're a great team and where we really rank. And we put it down on a piece of paper, and then we had our admin put it up on the board. They were horrified. They had no clue that some people thought we were 3, some people thought we were an 8, and now we had their interest. So
Right,
this
that's
is
cool.
a perfect process. And it's amazing how also they'll disagree on where they want to move the company to and where they want to move their team to and what they're capable of doing.
Yes.
And then that third piece really helps them unlock that. It's
You
really
know,
genius.
when we sit down and we talk about connecting people, connecting employees, and having them, the unifying, the fact that we don't discuss it, the fact that it's not talked about, that we assume we know what is going on, this is why we start with evaluate, then we start to build buy-in, then it's about unifying people, and some of these discussions have to be had. And Mark, you touched on it earlier about courageous conversations.
Right.
I'd really like to talk on it now, because there's some people that won't want to connect. They just don't want to connect and have these meaningful conversations.
Right, we actually have seen it go 2 different directions. They won't want, some people will not want to go there. Actually, it's a way that they can actually select in or select out, as Alan Mulally told us earlier. It's okay. You want to be with this program doing these things, or would you like to do that over there? You should choose. You need to opt in and decide you want to be a part of this conversation. But there's another piece that I realized only kind of late in my career. I continue to get this wrong all the time, and sometimes we can misinterpret this passion, the third P. And because often, if somebody really believes something, they're really passionate about it. But it might not be the same viewpoint about the same passion. Often companies really don't understand that when they're going through a change process or they're trying to innovate, that maybe the person who sounds like they're being shrill is actually just so enamored with helping the customer in a specific way. They're feeling it so deeply, but they can't communicate it. So one of the things we need to realize in engagement is maybe we're not always going to be in a happy-go-lucky mood. Sometimes we're going to be showing the pain. And the pain may not mean I want to leave. Pain means actually what I'd like to do is solve the problem for the customers, and we haven't gotten to the root of it here. Gentlemen, let's make this happen.
Now, Rich, part of the process of engagement, the Engage and Grow program, is actually creating a safe environment for these conversations to be held. Tell us more about that, because I think a lot of leaders don't realize how to create a safe environment that makes it okay to have these discussions.
Well, in my time, in terms of creating a unified, safe environment, people have to go from knowing what people do in the organisation to who they are. And that's when your leadership will go up the roof, through the roof as well. And what I mean there is sharing stories. A really, really powerful tool. I've seen dramatic shifts in hard-nosed trade companies or unionised organisations when guys as big and bulky get up and start sharing stories.
You told me one of a truck driver the other day. I think that was an interesting one to share about, when they both went through a cancer scare and how neither of them knew this, but all of a sudden two guys who didn't like each other.
That's it. Yeah, so there was a company like that, big, bulky, middle-aged men. I asked them to share a story, and they just said, "There's no chance in hell." Yeah. I didn't have their trust yet. Yeah. But anyway, over the process, I said, "Well, you're more than welcome to join us, share a story when you're ready." And sure enough, he felt the trust, because it's all about trust, And so he came out and shared a story, and he told me how he had a cancerous issue, and that he didn't tell anyone in the past. Anyway, so the guy who he had the biggest issue with came out and said the same thing. And so I watched this happen, because these two were really the clique in the organisation at the senior level that were holding the company back. And you could just see it all dissolve very quickly. And one other guy actually got in there and said, "Well, I've been associated with this sickness as well." So it just gelled the group together. But until then, they didn't know anything about that. And so they started to speak to the heart of the people. And it's all you're doing is you're living in someone's shoes for just 4 or 5 or maybe 10 minutes. And that can change something, because there's connection being created.
I've seen this in many companies when the sharing actually happens, when the humans connect. And that's what Unify is. It's about getting humans to connect with other humans. Rich, you've got some other great activities where we can try those now to get it moving. Well,
Unify, in organisations and us as a human species, we're very critical of everything. We negatively geared. So to fixing relationships is absolutely paramount to unification. And the quickest way to do that is quite simply this, is get your key people together, and it's a great exercise to do every week without fail, and you don't need an end game for this, is to get everyone in a group, and every week everyone has to nominate someone within the group for doing something that they admired that was going beyond their silo job. Okay, working on the heart of the business or whatever it may be, helping someone else, meeting someone else, communicating, sitting in on another department's issues, and they have to nominate that person and give a reason why. Okay, and then let the group hear. Because what happens a lot of the times is, firstly, we're breaking down the relationship problems, and everyone else can hear what that person's been doing behind the scenes, pick up new ideas as well. And then also we ask that person verbally thank that person. So we're teaching good manners, because if they don't thank them, they won't get it again. Right. Okay, so a simple tool like that.
These tools are all simple. What you're bringing up as tools, what you're teaching, what Rich is teaching, they're all such simple tools. And I think one of the keys to it, Marshall, you've brought it up many times, is consistency. Right. To unify a team takes consistency on the leader's team, on everyone's actions. But consistent actions and consistent behaviours breed unity. So evaluate, buy-in, start with the unification, and build a great team. We'll be back in a moment with the next chapter on how to align that team.